everyone. Welcome inside the Red Earth Production Studios for this edition of YBMcast. I almost hit my nose on the microphone when it went down, Mitch.
That would have been on par for this morning.
Oh, powered by Game 7 Baseball, Game7Baseball.com. I left you out. I haven't. I'm sorry.
I know.
Let's do that again.
No, we're good.
Game7Baseball.com. All right.
Did you hear the disappointment?
It was. Dude, we haven't been in the studio together in quite a while, so.
It's all right. It's fair.
My bad. But nonetheless, Game 7 Baseball, get your team registered. Great events we have. Go to the website. Youth Baseball Midwest, you can see on our Youth Baseball page the tournaments that we will be at. And there's probably going to be a surprise for a couple of others that we're going to add into there as well on the Saturdays, just for Saturdays. Because Saturdays are fun, Mitch. Interviews are fun. Kids are fun. It's a great time, right?
It's a fantastic time when you get those 9s and 10s like to come on the microphone.
Oh, yeah.
Because you're not exactly sure what they're going to say. And then sometimes it's impressive that they know they're like 1980s Cardinals history. Because it seems like you'll bring in the Ozzies, Willies, and the old secret weapon of Jose Kendo.
Exactly. So it's a great time. We have Game7Baseball.com. Get your team registered. Get in there. World Series, the Tennessee, Andrew. We got Andrew Beaman on the show today on the Prime Sports Midwest call-in link. Hojo Baseball, Showtime Sports Academy. We were down there. Andrew, you guys do a lot with Game 7 down there as well, don't you, buddy?
Yeah, we do. We actually got at least one team playing this weekend in Game 7 down here. So, yeah.
There you go. There you go. So make sure you do it. Game 7 Baseball, Tennessee, Kentucky, Illinois, all over Missouri. Max Creek State Championship is going to be a lot of fun. We're looking forward to that one. Game7Baseball.com. As I said, we have Andrew Beaman from Hojo Baseball on. We had a great time. Got to meet him when we were down with our winter workout tour. How you doing, Andrew?
Good. Getting ready for the season to ramp up. How are y'all?
Oh, yeah. Baseball time. I got a couple of I got my previews out and my predictions out, Mitch. I do this. I've been doing this the last few years just for one particular conference. I don't get too carried away at the GAC conference here in the area. So I have my predictions out, the previews and whatnot. I'm wrong, except maybe for one. I'm close. I don't know. We'll see.
I have no idea where he was going with that. Just go ahead. You going to tell us?
Of course, Francis Howell, I think, is going to win the GAC South. I got Fort Zumwalt South. I know Andrew's like, I don't know these teams at all.
But we're going to ask him. We're going to ask him
about Tennessee.
His area.
Oh, yeah. We got Fort Zumwalt. I think Fort Zumwalt South takes the Central. But, man, I like Liberty. If they stay healthy, if Liberty stays healthy, oh, my goodness. They got some dudes.
Yeah, for the North.
Yeah. No, that's Central.
Told you I knew my conference.
Yeah.
I only know the
South. The North, man, it's a tough one. It's a toss-up. But I think North Point, we have a new school around in the GAC, and but I think this is their fourth year, and could be their third. Can't remember. We had Coach Hellman on. They got some kids, and in the North, I think it's going to. I picked North. I picked North Point. But St. Charles West, man, it's hard to count them out.
Andrew, what our GAC South, our GAC conference in general, is a lot of kids with draft potential and D1 kind of type kids, your Power 5 type athletes. And several of these schools have one or two like that. Do you have anything like that in your area, specifically even inside your baseball program? Like a conference like that close?
Yeah, so everybody here falls under TSSAA. And they obviously they got their different classes. Baseball goes up to 3A, but then there's even kind of some subsections inside of those 1A, 2A, 3A for your private school classes. But the Williamson County area, kind of where we are, we've probably got 10 high schools just in that one county alone. And they pump out some dudes all throughout. It's crazy. So, one school's got, you're probably familiar with the name Chris McIlvain, played at Vandy with the Reds organization. So his younger brother just graduated last year and is at Vandy this year as well. So, they're all over.
So you got a conference like that just like from top to bottom, it's a brutal gauntlet during the season. And what's cool about our conference, and I love this because it starts to create a little bit of rivalry, is our conference, the GAC, I should say, does a home and home. So on Tuesday you'll play, Francis Howell play Timberland on Tuesday, then they flip flop the next day. So you can't have your ace pitching every conference game, and you have to have depth, and it shows. How does your guys' high school conferences work? Is it very similar, or is it spread out through the season?
No, it's bounced around a little bit. So I went to school at Centennial as well, which is in the Williamson County area. At that point, we were playing 3-game sets. So we were either home, home, or road, home, road. Then they actually split up Williamson County schools. So instead of it being kind of one massive conference, they went to basically 2 mini conferences. I think the point of it was to try and get more Williamson County teams in the state tournament, or at least giving the opportunity to get more in the state tournament. And at that point, I think they kind of kept 3-game sets, but they were also doing 2-game sets for a little bit. This year, I actually think they're back to a bigger conference, and they're doing 3-game sets as well. So they're back to the home, road, home, or road, home, road. So
gotcha.
You got to have depth.
Yeah. You got to have depth if you're doing a 3-game series.
Yes.
It's almost like you're setting up for college experience now. You go from the weekend ventures of tournament ball, which we're getting ready to talk about, youth baseball, and then you have this high school experience that almost prepares you for what you'll experience, at least in some conferences in the NCAA. That's always interesting to see how different states manipulate their high school sports. How Missouri, we have it seems like 100 districts. I know that's obviously I'm being dramatic, but we have, what do we have, 8 or 9?
We have 8. Well, it depends. Class structure, because we have 6 classes in Missouri. I don't know what it is in Tennessee, and 1 through 4, it's 16 districts. In class 5 and 6, it's 8.
It's a lot of baseball teams.
Yeah,
a lot of baseball teams.
So they did that just like 4 or 5. It's been 5 years ago. They added Class 6, which I thought was a great opportunity for those smaller, large schools to, make some waves, and they have. And because when you're at the lower end of any pool of enrollment, it's tough when you're going against teams that are pumping out that depth. You got a 25-man roster, and you got, and there's like 2 or 3 in particular in the state right now. With starting on the west side, Blue Springs South and Blue Springs both, Staley, Liberty North. They lost a little bit of their depth this time. Coming over here, you got Francis Howell. I think CBC always has depth. They're going to be there. Vianney is deep. You have these schools with 25-man rosters and can go 10 deep pitching. That's unheard of in high school. And I think Howell goes maybe 13.
They got guys.
It's a embarrassment of riches. And we're not talking about guys, we're talking about guys mid-80s up. It's
mid
not,
to upper 90s. There's some young men that can absolutely chuck it. Last year's class 2023 was an amazing pitching class from this area. Lots of D1 talent. And some of these schools, though, we're talking graduating classes of 600 and 700, 500 plus kids. Is that some of the sizes that you have down there in Williamson County? I know Tennessee doesn't.
Yeah.
They're that big? Schools that
So
big?
we're looking most of our local. So the Williamson County ones are probably 400 to 500 per class. So I mean, yeah,
That's a
if
big
we
draw.
were if we were one or two schools in the county, they'd be pumping it. It'd be tough to get on a team. So
And that's the thing. And I think I want to come back down to this following what you just said there. And this is a question that we like to talk about. And this is a follow-up to the Winter Workout Tour. Youth baseball, we were there with your 11s. That was a lot of fun. Those kids were great. It was a lot of fun there. Youth baseball, and you're the director of the program. Are you seeing, and where do you think this needs to go? I don't know that I see some of these kids coming out of clubs prepared to compete for a spot on a high school team.
yeah.
Thoughts on that?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think some of that comes from some of these summer teams. I mean, you'll see them, they're going to run out the exact same line out pretty much game in, game out, right? To where they think from age 9, hey, I'm a shortstop or I'm a left field or whatever it is. I think the best way to cure that is, 1, mixing guys up, but 2, trying to implement situations that allow them to compete for spots. So thinking back to my age group, when we were 10, we have the 2 rosters. So we did a combined roster tournament at the end of the summer. We took about 15 kids to the Ripken place in Elizabethtown, Kentucky. And we told kids, parents from the get-go, this is something additional. The kid's going to have to earn the spot to make that roster. Once they made that roster, we kind of took the high school approach. So we hit 9 or 10. If we hit 10, it was with an EH. But sometimes it was, 9 and I'm just DHing for a pitcher or somebody. And so we told them once they made that roster, look, you've earned a spot, but you got to go and earn your playing time. So a phrase that I like to use when we're doing something like that is your playing time is going to be fair, not equal. So I think it went over pretty well, and it helped that we played extremely well that weekend as well. But trying to implement more things like, yes. But if you're trying to implement more situations, yes. Implementing more situations like that, should hopefully prepare them to go out there and compete. Because some of them haven't been in a situation where they have to do that. If you're the best kid on your travel team, what kind of competition is going on day in, day out for you?
Yeah, zero adversity for what I see the most part. And, when you have 10, 11 kids, you're guaranteed playing time, in some of these younger age groups because you bat rosters and, you're not playing I bat 9 kind of situations. And so we try to do the same thing is how do you find a good balance of accountability? Because I also think that that's part of the development process. Willing to sacrifice wins of a tournament to make sure the athlete understands his role or her role in select sports. It is a very fine line because sometimes a lot of feelings get hurt. There's a lot of money spent in this sport. And so, parents will look at their athlete and say, why is my kid not getting playing time? Well, I need you to watch practice. I need you to do these things. And then how do you act when they are not in the starting lineup? My first year coaching high school freshman baseball, I would post the list on Twitter. And I would have kids going there in midday, checking Twitter, and see that as soon as they would get to the game, prep for the game, they were down. They were disappointed. They didn't work hard. And I think that's part of the situation and what he's saying. You have to prepare for these things at a much younger age. Can't just be your high school experience your first time at facing adversity.
I think, and this is something I hope, and I've had this conversation with a lot, and I appreciate. I liked what you did there because sometimes, it's finding ways to do this, finding ways that make it easier for people to swallow. But I try to tell parents, and I say this on the show all the time, you're not paying to play. And that has become the dominant cultural context of youth sports. I'm paying to play. No. You're paying for the development. If you've joined a club, you should be joining that club because you want your son to, or daughter or whoever it may be, whatever club. And I think this goes to whatever sport, personally. You're paying for the expertise of Andrew Beaman. And the reason it's called Hojo Baseball is because we got to meet Howard Johnson.
Correct.
I was going to ask if that's the why.
Yeah.
It is.
Yep.
You know, so there's a lot of expertise coming down through this program, correct?
Yeah. Yeah, no, absolutely.
How do you not? That's the development. You're paying for the development process and for your child to be that. When it comes then to the games, it's a matter of competing for the opportunity to get the playing time. And I think that only happens when we expand the youth rosters back to that 12, 13 number, where you have a couple of kids that are at the. We like them. We love their. I think we can. Their development process is there. But now keep the development, keep the attitude. Can you do that? And you know, so your other kids don't get. Hey, he's going to get some playing time in here in a game. We want to see where his development is. I liked what you said. It's fair, not equal. Right?
Right. Yeah, no, absolutely. Absolutely. Now we were fortunate in that situation that at least in the pool play games, you know, all of our kids were able to get an at bat. I think we got up pretty early in a couple of them, so that made my job a lot easier, making sure everybody was at least, you know, getting a little bit of time here and there. But yeah, no, they had their opportunities to go and earn it, and you know what they did with it is up to them.
Yeah. We got Andrew Beaman here on the Prime Sports Midwest call-in link. And, you know, folks, check out what uniforms, whatever you got, Prime Sports Midwest, our good buddy over there, Rick Benz. Take a look at this video real quick.
So this area back here is basically production. They do a lot of the artwork back here. They do the production. So any of that stuff that comes in off of, we'll say, our fanwear stores, stuff that comes in off the team stores, a lot of the coaches wear, a lot of the last minute, hey, we got to have it in the next 10 minutes stuff. That's all comes back here. This area is where all the day-to-day stuff that comes in really goes through. The retail store is its own little entity. This is where the real work is done.
Check it out, folks. Prime Sports Midwest. Go check out all the lineup. You've been there, right?
I talk to Rick consistently. Again, he's my go-to. He's somebody that has things in hand, whether it's batting gloves, team spirit stuff. Like Rick's my guy.
You got your fanwear store up there, right?
Yep, Rick's my guy. I got it for the hitting zone. I got it for the club ball. I got it for. Rick's my guy.
Take care of mom. There you go. Prime Sports Midwest. Andrew, thanks for joining us again, but I want to come back to this conversation. Youth baseball heading into the tournament season. How many teams do you guys have?
So we've got 16. 10 are kind of getting going at the moment, getting ready for games.
When do you guys do your first tournament?
So we've got a couple that are going this weekend, a couple maybe next weekend, and then we're working around spring break. So I would say most everybody, if they're not going to play here this week or the next weekend, it'll be late March, early April.
So what is the weather like at this time for you guys there?
Yeah, it's very spotty. So yesterday and today are actually great. We're looking 65 to 70 degrees. It is a little windy, but you know, we'll get some rain, and with those early rains in the spring, you know, the temperatures are going to drop. So right now we're good, but you know, the kids are definitely going to want some sweatshirts here in a couple weeks too, probably. So
it's 80 right now in St. Louis, or in this area, like high upper 70s, 80 degrees. Tomorrow it's supposed to be 49.
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly. Same thing
here. That weather
here.
comes in tonight, and it's always, if you don't like the weather here, you just have to wait like 10 minutes, and it'll change. So at this time of the year, you bring all four seasons with you.
Yes.
I mean, I'm sweating right now.
It's tough. And how do you, so, as you take this approach, do you build in weekends? How do you go about this? And I think this is an interesting thing because there's a lot of talk with youth baseball. I used to be a little more hard-nosed. I was. You got to admit it. But I look back and you think, man, you could have done things a little better, Brian. Do you guys build in time for parents to take vacations and do that stuff through the summer, or do you just kind of just go head on in?
Yeah, so with with the younger teams, we'll try and wrap up mid to late June, so they basically have the rest of the summer free. I mean, they're kicking it March, April timeframe, and then we're also doing a league with that during the midweek. So most of these kids on the younger side are getting anywhere from 40 to 45 games pretty easily in about a 3-month span. So they know that they definitely have July off. Now our older teams, I don't know if y'all have this on the high school level, but we have a dead period. So it's normally the last weekend of June, first weekend of July. So that dead period is their high school coaches, regardless of sport, whether it's baseball, football, basketball, they can't have any contact with them during that 2-week period. So generally our teams will try and plan to not play one of those weeks. Because they're rolling from high school baseball right to us. So at least if they can get a week or a couple day vacation, we'll try and allow that. So, but they're also going all over the place to play. So they're getting mini vacations, I guess, with baseball attached.
Yeah, I was curious on how that, how the high school side worked for you, as I have experience on the club side and the high school side and trying to manipulate both and, sticking to rules and dead periods and things like that. It's interesting to have one smack in the middle of summer. Just the difference, again, going back to the different regulations for states. Do you guys have a lot of high school coaches inside your program?
So right now we've actually just got one. Yeah, we've just got one high school coach currently, who's actually our owner as well. So that's Howard's son. He's the head baseball coach at FRA, which is I think they're 2A. There might be 1A, but they're a smaller private school, kind of closer to Nashville.
And so does your high school group is there requirements that your state requires that you match those dead periods, or is it something you do as a benefit to the club?
Yeah, so we do that as a benefit as far as trying to give them a week off. Now, the only really rule we would have to follow, so let's take our 17 team, for example. Howard's the head coach of that, but if Glenn was to be the head coach or even the assistant on that team, there is at least one of his high school kids on that roster. So if Glenn was the head coach, if they were playing at all during that dead period, Glenn couldn't coach, so he couldn't actually even be in the dugout because that kid is on that roster. Now, if the kid's not there, he's free to do whatever he wants. But again, that's part of that no contact with your high school coaches.
Can he even be at the park?
So that's kind of the gray area. So he could probably be in the stands and it'd be okay. But him being in the dugout would probably be frowned upon, and there might be a little sanction.
I wish state regulations were black and white and not interpretations or judgment calls. Like, is there a tie goes to the runner kind of thing? Right. Just make it clear.
I understand the collegiate rules of no contact and things like that. And I like what they've done. The NC2A finally putting certain things in place that are better for the kids. But the no contact rules in high school, what are they there for? What's your view of that? Why do you think they do this, Andrew?
Yeah. I'm curious I think part of it is probably football heavy as far as when our dead period falls. And so I think some of it has to go with, they're rolling from spring ball right into their summer workouts and then do a full season. And they're in pads a majority of that time. And then I'm curious if some of it has anything to do with the heat. But, I can't see it being the heat because they've got all the different temperature guidelines. And, it's normally hotter late July, early August, than it is right there around the 4th anyway. So if I had to guess, it's probably just to make sure that those football kids are getting more of a break, and it just bleeds into the other sports.
That's what we get from Misha, and I understand, the thought process here, and not trying to overwork the kids and whatnot. But I think that's a conversation with parents and coaches, and this to me is where the things should go to. If you got a coach and you got somebody that at a high school level that wants to help the child, it should be a conversation for the parents and the coaches. If you're going to abuse a child like that, you shouldn't be coaching anyway. Personally, that's just my opinion of it. And if we as parents understand that, I'm not going to let my kid play for that coach anyhow.
Right.
But where are those lines, and where do we blur them, and this and that? Heck, I played high school football in Chandler, Arizona. It was hot.
I was gonna say it was hot, and I'm sure.
The coaches, we didn't do 2-a-days in the middle of the day. We did them at 8 o'clock in the morning and 7 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
Because so somebody has some wisdom, So could you go play baseball? No, not really, because if you were doing that, you just didn't have any time. There was just no time. I get those things. But that doesn't mean you couldn't go in the middle of the day and work with your high school coach. If you wanted to go and you called the coach and said, hey, I want to get some swings in, how is that a violation of anything? I just don't understand that. And I think that we over adjudicate things so much that we're not thinking about the player in certain respects, in my opinion, anymore. And we'll have this conversation. We got the guys coming on. I just, are the coaches that abusive?
I doubt it. Not in today's. No way.
Yeah.
Not with what the control the parent has in today's high school levels, or just in general in sports. I mean, the parent they have a lot of good cards, I guess, when it comes to conversations with athletic directors and stuff like that. And I don't remember it being like this when I played baseball here in the state. When I was in high school, I don't remember our coaches having a bunch of open gyms. All it was a bunch of kids getting together, going into the gym and hitting BP together. It was never, or throwing or bullpens or whatever. I don't ever remember the coaches being there. So maybe there was some, things that they could and couldn't do, but our coach always opened the doors for us to get better, because all it does is help the program.
Right.
And that's, and I love that piece. I didn't know any difference until I became a high school coach and said, you can't do something today. And I'm like, well, why can't I do something today? And then if I would have open gyms, I couldn't run a certain practice. I could hit ground balls, but I couldn't run a structure. It was so weird. It was weird to me on what was allowed. And I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, these kids want to get better. Let's just do more than ground balls, but I can't instruct. And it was weird to me, because that's, again, part of that development process that we probably need more of, because I think in general, today's youth, we have a low IQ for the sport. I'm not questioning IQ in general, like, for your grades and things like that. But I don't think enough kids watch and participate in their respective sports. And obviously the kids that do, they're on a different planet. So I think we need that kind of stuff. We don't need a dead period. Yeah. We might need more, in my opinion.
Right. Yeah. Because we've got some of those rules where coaches can't do things, and, you're kind of taking the coaching side of it out. You're just kind of a rep machine at that point, to where they can only work with so many kids a day, or during these times you can't work with them. So yeah, no, absolutely.
That's going to lead to coach too not wanting to do it. I mean, if you can't allow a coach to coach, they're not going to want to waste time when they could be hanging with their families. We already take a lot away from our families, and to do something like this and not make it, in my opinion, feel worth it.
And this goes back to, what is the athletic director there for? You can't get all your coaches together and go, okay, let's figure this out. What do we do? And work together, because some of these schools, you're going to need your athletes. You're going to need athletes in multiple sports, but that doesn't mean the kid wants to play that sport. I mean, there's all kinds of things there question, and I don't think it should be an outside body defining those things in that respect. That doesn't mean you can't have Misha or some of these and they can't be there for guides and having conversations, workshops and things of that nature. Doing the state championships, I think it's great. I don't have any problem with that, but I think there's a solution to these things, because I think that you are finding that some of these coaches are just leaving that and maybe going to summer because they can't coach in high school. And where do we go here? And where is that development process for these high school coaches?
Yeah.
That's just my thoughts. I think it's an interesting conversation when you start putting, because you hear it from all the coaches, you hear it from them, but what's being done? What do we do? Where's solutions? How do we figure this out? And if ADs can get in parents, you can't leave the parents out of it.
That's changed.
Well, I don't think it's changed.
Oh, I think it's changed.
I just think you have to put the right parents in there. You can't have people. I'm against all the parents and the coaches and all the everybody coming together and it's a giant
shouting match.
Yeah, it's just a complaint session. That doesn't solve anything. Who's bringing the solution? And only people that have solutions, whether you want to implement them or not, get to talk.
Well, I don't know what it's like for you. How old are you, Andrew?
So I'm 25.
Oh, so he's still a youngin'. And I meant
Youngster.
to ask earlier, what side of Tennessee are you on? Like central?
They're in Nashville.
Yeah,
Oh,
we're
Nashville.
smack dab in the middle. Yeah.
Oh, great town. Great town. Nashville's a great town. Anyways, I don't know where I was going with this. 25 years old. What, like, growing up for me, I was always told, like, hey, if coach said something and if he said jump, I was already in the air before he ever finished the word. My parents were always, whether that they were frustrated, they never really spoke. They allowed me and encouraged me to have those tough conversations with my coach. And nowadays, it seems like it's changed. And so even though we're maybe only 15 years apart in age, was that experience like that for you? And how do you do that how do you build that culture inside your program currently to encourage, even at 10 years old? You said you coached 10U or did last year?
I've got 11s this year. Yeah. So
Okay.
I've moved up with them. How
How do you approach that this year with those parents and trying to build that culture there for you guys at Hojo?
Yeah. So kind of to answer the first part of that, I mean, looking for me, I feel like I had a similar experience to kind of what you talked about. My dad, I'm the oldest of three boys, so we all played baseball. My dad coached the middle one as well. So I never was aware of any kind of frustration or conflict going on amongst parents or parents and coaches on any team I was playing. My parents did a good job as well of kind of separating that, any of that. They just wanted me to be able to go out there and play. Whereas you see with a lot of teams now, I mean, if there's conflict going on, every single kid is well aware of it. And so there's not kind of the separation. And I think it's a hard culture to build from an organization because a lot of that does stem at home, right? What kind of conversations are those kids a part of? What kind of conversations do they overhear? And then how does that attitude change towards their teammate? So I think in order to kind of help that, I think the easiest gap is to do a lot of team bonding type activities, whether it's just with the kids, families and kids, just to build that kind of family community. Because the last thing you want is to go to a big out of town tournament and then something blows up and then it's a bad experience for everybody. So I guess to keep it simple, go back to those team building kind of opportunities, getting together outside of baseball or whatever sport it is, to try and help that as much as we can.
It doesn't stop at 10U either. Like, this is a high school experience.
Right.
I coach college sports. I'm assuming that you played in college. I haven't looked you up or anything or beyond. Baseball Reference kind of gives a lot, or Baseball Cube, whatever. But when I look at these kinds of things, I'm like, the experiences don't stop just at 10 years old when you're having sleepovers at somebody's house that's got a pool and you get to stay up till 2:00 in the morning. Like, when you get to college, these things continue to happen. whether they're golf
Right.
outings or maybe the situations change because now you're older, you're mature, whatever, you make different decisions. But again, still, you have events that you are a part of to continue building the team first mentality. And that's what we try to do here with the program that I have is we try to be team first because ultimately high school and college is that and beyond.
Yeah.
You definitely
absolutely.
didn't want the 8:00 game, especially when they brought the PlayStation into the hotel and you knew they weren't in bed real early.
Oh yeah. I'm like, hey, it lights out at 10 o'clock to a bunch of 16-year-old boys, 8 hours.
10-year-old
Yeah,
boys,
good luck.
and it didn't
It
work.
ain't happening. They're like, Coach, we're
Good
closing
luck.
the pool down. And I always tell
Right.
them, I said, if you guys come out and you play hard and you don't have anybody that's got bad body language or woke up on the wrong side of the bed, I don't care if you don't go to sleep.
Hey,
I said you have to play hard.
Can
Right.
you do the Michael Jordan?
The flu version or the Vegas version?
Either one.
Well, they're the same, but one he was hungover and they said he had the flu.
Right.
He didn't have the flu. Him and Rodman were probably hanging out.
So, and I think those are things that's, don't take away the fun part of it, the aspect, the team building. The kids get to, you're always going to have, I think, different personalities, but everybody, respect each other. You got to play together, understand where you're going and how you do that. And I think in club baseball, it's hard, I think, just to even get all the coaches on the same page. Agreed?
Yeah. I think it takes kind of a lot of work to get there. I think I mentioned it kind of at the tour stop that we're pretty fortunate with our group of coaches, whether they're paid coaches or dad coaches, that a lot of them do have a baseball background and they kind of understand what it takes. I think the biggest thing to get them to buy into is putting in the extra work outside of practice for some of them to kind of help build that culture. But yeah, no, it's not an easy task to get the right coaches in the door.
I like how he's smiling because he's trying to make sure he says the right thing.
Hey, it's true though.
No, I 100% agree with what he's
Yeah.
saying. And even then, just being a guy that just plays baseball, you still don't always have the buy-in of your coaching staff. And so it's very difficult.
Yeah.
Here's the thing, club baseball, any kind of sport, any kind of activity, if you're going to compete, you got to have people that think similarly, that are culturally in line with what you think about how things should go. Not everybody will agree just on but as a whole, as a baseline, as a foundation, you have to have people who are like-minded in how you want to approach, how you move forward, development, and those types of things, or else it doesn't work. It will crack and break. That's just a fact. So I think that's the tough thing, and this is why I think every club is different. I think clubs are different because of that. Yeah, everybody does development, everybody blah, blah, blah. We know that. But personalities are different. And coaches have different philosophies about certain things and this and that. And if philosophies align with coaches, I think you're going to have a cohesive unit from 9U to 10U to 11U, 12U on up into high school. And then how well are you preparing the kids for high school? And do you know what high schools they're going to? Do you understand? Are they watching the high school games? Do they know who their coach is going to be? Are they going to the summer camp of the high school team? And how are you presenting that as a club to where these kids understand what they're getting into once they reach that freshman year? And I think that's a huge step when you're building a club, Andrew.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think a lot of us, and kind of like I did with my tournament with the 10s last year, a lot of our coaches kind of, once they hit that 13, they're going to a little bit more of that high school setup. Obviously, they'll hit the 10, but versus the 9, but they're trying to still implement the high school structure. Now, I don't know how many of our kids are going to their high school summer camps, getting to know their high school coaches beforehand. I was in a little bit of a different situation. My mom's a teacher, and she actually taught with my high school coach's wife. So I knew my high school coach from the time I was walking. So I wasn't a benefit there, but I'm not sure how many of them are implementing or kind of getting their foot in the door, or if there's some of it, if a parent hears that something that they don't like of that high school coach, at what point are they trying to find a different high school?
There you go. We got to move into a different district.
Well, that just goes back to vetting this whole process too, right? Like you talked about it, the development process and what you make decisions for. And I love what he just said there.
Yeah, and we talk about this a lot on our side, and it's on our side. That's stupid.
Well, we are on this side. There is a river there.
In this area, and this is why I love this conversation. You guys, you're in Tennessee. It's Nashville. It's a different, side of the baseball world in certain respects. You guys are closer to that Southern. You play a little bit more than we do, and whatnot, club baseball. But I'm finding that most clubs are the same. And when you're around there, we talk about vetting. How many parents, how many people come to you guys? They bring a kid to a tryout, right? They bring their son to a tryout. Why did you bring them to Showtime Academy, to Hojo Baseball? Was it just because of the name, or do they come to you and ask you the questions? What's your club about? What's your philosophy? Do you find parents doing that?
Yes and no. I think there's some that are coming because they've seen us at a tournament, so they see what we're about a little bit. Then there's also the some that, hey, we're just getting into it. We're going to as many as we can. Same with, we're blowing up with people from California, Chicago, all over. And so we get that a fair amount where, hey, we're brand new to the area. We're going to as many as we can. And then there are a handful that are asking some of those questions. Maybe not necessarily in the tryout setting, depending on what age group and what our turnaround time looks like, as far as, do we have to go get to another one, or do we have another age group rolling in right behind? But when I see a lot of those kind of questions is generally when an offer is being extended. They're wanting to make sure that it's the right fit, not only for the kid, but for the family, and making sure that if that kid is one that needs a certain type of personality, as a coach, making sure that personality matches up as well. So I would say that, again, yeah, but not as much as it probably should be.
I like how he ended there was the personality of the coach.
Yeah.
The one thing that I would say that I think as a culture that we do is that we can all agree that we want to help these kids deal with adversity, try to be confident in our skill sets versus, the self-doubt, because we obviously know that's probably more of an issue than skill set at some of these younger ages. But
Right.
What helps our culture is that we try to stick to the same accountability measures, where the coaching philosophies are a little bit different for everybody, how they run practices. And I don't as a leader, I don't want to take that away from a coach. I want to give them the information that they need. I want to help them through their process in the winter. And then the one thing I want is that culture piece, because personality matters. I am a loud person. I'm big. I can be intimidating to a 10, 11, kid that's...
No, you're a big teddy bear.
I am a nice guy, but I care a lot about baseball because it has given me so much. And so because I look at this as a life-changing thing for me, and it changed my route as a young teenager to being a troublemaker, to finding a way. And I look at baseball very differently. So my passion runs differently. And so what I can't do is I can't push that onto a kid. However, I'm intense because of that. And so when you play for me, like, there's going to be moments that I might want to get into the umpire a little bit to try to stick up for my team. And there's also moments that I'm going to get into my players for being a bad teammate. and I don't care when it is. I want to make sure my points get proven. And so as personalities, if someone comes to my team and doesn't get that information right off the bat, like I do this at tryouts. Like, so when I do my little speech before, as they're stretching, I let them know exactly who I am as a coach and let them know, say, hey, you can leave now if you don't want that kind of coach.
Right.
One thing I will tell you working on this show is Brian has encouraged me that I don't need cussing to get my point across. And for the most part, I'm about 3/4 of the way there that I don't use cuss words. But it's a conscious effort. I believe it or not, it is very conscious that you don't have to use foul language. I don't need to yell. What I've figured out is that all I have to do is sit you. And then those conversations get to happen with parents, which I don't mind.
Yeah.
But again, personalities, right? I am a strong personality. I believe in my skill set as a coach. And I have some softer coaches at even the same age group I coach. And it's like, that's a guy you should go play for, and that's okay because I think I have different desires, Sorry about the long wind there.
No, that's good.
I think personality is a big deal from your coaching staff. This is a guy who's spending,
absolutely.
I don't know, 9 months out of the year with. I know that there's some times that it's not every day or, more than twice a week, but for the most part, I see these kids about 9 months out of the year. If not more, because they'll come in, we have our players have access to the facility, so they'll come in and I'll see them working. And of course, I'll go over and throw BP, not yelling at them like practice or getting them encouragement or instruction. We're just having BP, keeping it fun, keeping that culture alive.
There you go. I personally, we're out at a lot of youth baseball, 9, 10, and to that point, I understand high school kids sometimes, it's a little different, language and things of that nature. Okay. It's just what I believe. But I'm going to say this, and I'm going to probably, and remember this, folks, the opinions of Youth Baseball Midwest are mine and mine alone. Do not necessarily reflect those of our sponsors and our other guests. But when we're out at the ballpark and you got a 9-year-old team and they got the music blaring and everybody's got to have the boom box for the walk-up music, okay, fine. But then they're playing the boom box, and it's blaring out there. And what cracks me up is it's usually some hippie drug culture music that the kid ain't never heard of, wasn't even close. The parents probably weren't alive when that music came out. And that's what cracks me up is, you're playing Highway to Hell to a bunch of 9-year-olds. I'm like, wait a minute, what are we talking about here? I mean, if that's what you listen to on your radio in your car and whatnot, you're an adult, fine. I don't care. You got Eminem blaring, and okay. All right. It's 9-year-olds, man. Come on. I think we can find maybe, I don't know if we can anymore or not. I don't know. But I'm just saying, it's kind of interesting to me what we're projecting here when we talk about culture, we talk about family, we talk about those things. And people go, well, no, as an adult, if you want to listen to AC/DC and blare that in your truck, that's fine. But you got a whole park full of kids. And I think we just need to have a little bit more prudence in our decision making. That's just my humble opinion. Agree with me or not, that's up to you. There you go. I said it. You got me there, man.
No,
see, you always get me there.
This is what I liked about what Brian said. He said those were his opinions of, not a reflection of the guest.
Right. It's what I think.
I will tell you that
I'm not afraid to say what I think. I'm really not.
if a cuss word comes through, the radio gets shut down for weeks. So it's always interesting. I don't know how you feel about this.
And you go to a high school game and the coaches are out there and it's before everybody. And I've seen this. And a song comes on the playlist and the coach goes, "Turn that off. You can't do that." And this is high school and the coaches are doing. And yet we're doing at the youth. And I'm like,
well, this is all they know.
What are we doing here?
Do you allow pregame radios and get the kids amped up, or are you one of those anti music kind of things?
So my team doesn't have it, and it's not really that I don't want it. I don't mind it as long as selections are okay. We've had it at a couple of tournaments. It's just a matter of whether or not a parent is willing to do it, because I'm not going to put in the extra work to do that.
Yeah, there's
I've
already
got enough
to
other
do.
stuff going on.
Right.
Yeah. So if a parent wants to do it, by all means, go for it. But I'm not going to help set that up.
So you're not going to let a bunch of 11-year-olds pick your music?
Yeah, but see, that's
So like if they do it, I don't mind them picking their walk-up song within reason. Most of their parents are going to okay him or not, but I'm not going to go through any extra work to get that all set up. Whatever they want to do, parents have fun with it, do it, but I'm not.
I got to
Gonna
ask
do it.
now.
and
that it's leading to
I
this.
really don't mind that. I think it's kind. If let's have some fun. If the kids want to walk up song for them to play and the parents doing it, so it's fun. It's baseball. Let's have some fun. I don't mind that stuff. I really don't.
Oh,
I know there's a lot of people that go, "Oh my gosh, you shouldn't do it. What are we doing?" We're out here to have some fun. If the kid goes 0 for 5, but he's jamming to his walk-up song, who cares?
Let him keep his confidence. I mean, you get it at every other level, right? You get to, like, high schools do it, college does it, professional baseball does it. Like, it's pretty neat. I have to ask, though, being a Nashville guy, or you being a Nashville area, is the large majority of the, like, walk-up songs playlist, is it country music, or is it a wide variety of music selections?
Yeah, I would say it's a wide variety. Now, for me personally, I mean, I listen to a lot of country. That's part of the reason my parents moved here. But with Nashville and kind of the Middle Tennessee area being so kind of heavily moved to, we're getting such a wide range of kind of cultures and music styles being brought in.
You mean from
you'll
different
hear a
states,
fair amount
like-
of country.
I got you.
Correct. I mean, you're going to get a fair amount of country music. If you're walking around a ballpark and you've got a couple boom boxes going, there's going to be some country music, but you're going to get some rock, some rap, some pop. You'll hear a little bit of everything.
I was figuring like a little Post Malone and Jelly Roll is probably on a lot of your middle schoolers and high school side.
Yeah,
Which probably is not going to be something that he wants to hear or have on his team. I am trying to, when he said this, it's like,
I don't know who they are.
well, AC/DC, it's like, what kind of music do you choose? Because if you have rap music, it's about one thing. If you have country music, it's about one thing. It's like, there's not a lot of music these days.
I'm going to, I like hard rock.
So
and I'm going to Skillet. John Cooper, baby, and a little Legendary. That's what I'm doing, baby.
Like,
have you ever heard that song? Have you heard it, Andrew?
I don't think I've heard it, but I know who Skillet is.
Yeah.
Well, I was thinking Skillet, like the hard rocks, like whatever you call that kind of music. The lady drummer. It's got the lady drummer.
Oh, Ledger.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So we're
That's
talking
right.
about the same people.
Yep. Ledger. She's good too.
Well, all right.
I'm a music guy. I love music, and but I'm gonna go that direction.
I don't put much thought into the words. I just don't want to hear cuss words.
This is the pop culture section of our show.
We got a little bit of wide variety of things going on for sure. I don't really listen to the words
Or you could
as
go-
much as I like the beat of the song. So I like the up tempos, the EDM kind of stuff, the bass nectar. Isn't EDM? Isn't that like electronic? So, yeah. Okay.
You go all the way back to 2000. I think it was 2000, maybe 2001, to Toby Mac's first album, Momentum. Oh yeah, that's a song. It gets you going, bro.
Who's Toby Mac?
DC Talk.
He lives down here.
I know
He does.
who
He
Keith
lives
Mac
in Franklin.
is.
Yeah,
Yep.
lives in Franklin. Oh, dude, Toby is the dude. I've seen 4 of his concerts. Yeah.
Is he a country guy?
No.
No.
No,
No.
he's more pop rap, little fusion of a lot of different styles of music.
I will tell you this much: if you don't like his opinions on baseball, he does have good opinions on music because he has given me some things to follow that I really liked. So I'm not gonna lie, I ask him these questions, and he's what I love about working with Brian. He's open and honest. I'm sure, Andrew, as you experienced it with him on a winter tour thing, it's here you go. Here's your questions. Here's your sign. And that's what I liked about this. Is like it's literally he'd tell me like that music's trash, and then I never really think about why it's trash because I don't always listen to the lyrics. I just hear the sound of it. And so like when I want to get amped up and I hear Highway to Hell when the closer's coming in, when Ryan Helsley's coming in, I'm like, man, this is awesome. Or, Enter Sandman, or what the guy up in New York with the Mets, it comes out to Timmy Trumpet or whatever his name is.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I that stuff gives me goosebumps, man. Yeah. But anyway, sorry. I know that gets off track, but that's usually what I do.
Pop culture, baby.
Squirrel.
That's our segment. There you go. That's the best way to finish with. I'm a musician. I play the drums. I grew up a marching band, all of that. My mother is a gospel pianist. She's one of the best I've ever heard. I get to play music with her. And, I've played with some guys, wrote some music, recorded some music back when I was a youngster. It's one of my passions. I love music. But I think music is a truly cultural piece that it drives culture, and what you say and how you say it is very important, as we see in society. And I think it's a big part of the baseball community. And like I said, I understand if that's what people want to listen to in themselves and whatnot, and they may not want to listen to Toby Mac and hear that stuff. I don't know, but I think we got to find that place where age appropriate in certain things, and they understand that. I'm gonna leave it there.
Every year I do songs that are turning 30, and this last couple of years has been fantastic. So like the early 90s rap. So I'll do like everything from a rap, like I do like 50 songs. I'll go get that's like turning 30 in 2024. And I'll do, rock or, whatever
That's
going on. I'll do several different playlists on Spotify. And I love that generation of music. I do think music is peaceful. I think it can put you into a good feel and vibe. So there is songs I listen to. Don't get me wrong. There is music that I will go to that when I'm feeling down that will help me get through a feeling, if I'm down and just in general. So, but there's music like AC/DC that I turn on. I don't try to hear the music, but if I'm trying to listen to Rush, I'm trying to listen to the lyrics.
Neil Peart, baby.
Huh?
Neil Peart.
Well, it's Tom Sawyer is one of my favorite tunes.
He was the drummer.
I know.
Okay, just
He
check.
passed away like 2 years ago.
Yes, he did. Yeah, that was sad. Tremendous musician. My goodness.
But I don't listen to Prince. I hear his music. I don't listen to it, except for one song that's
There's
not
a difference,
appropriate.
right? I like it. You like this, Andrew? This is what you get when you come on this show, baby.
Yeah. No, I'm about it.
I do. Before we go, Andrew, I do want to know a little bit about you, just for if anybody didn't check into the tour, just a little bit more, because one things I like about doing this show and having other organizations come in, it allows me to grow as a program. I own a facility and a club, so I like some of the things you said, that like the Tinu thing that you adapted with having so many kids. I that's something I'm learning today, right? If I take anything away from the show, and I try to do that every show. So if you can share just a little bit about your path, how you got to Hojo.
Yeah.
And wait a minute, one second. Does anybody dare call Howard anything related to the 1980s Mets?
I haven't heard any. It pretty much is Hoj or Hojo. Very rarely do I hear Howard. No, I haven't heard anything. But funny enough, we had a camp a couple years back, and he had Daryl Strawberry come in and be our guest speaker for it. So that was pretty cool. And I'm sure those two have some stories about that group. So
there's so Pond Scum. Do you know what Pond Scum is?
Not familiar.
Oh my Lord, that was
What are you bringing this up for?
because I had to ask. It's Hojo baseball. The '80s Cardinals and the Mets rivalry in the '80s were so fantastic. And
You're talking to a Cardinal
Yeah.
fan. There you go. That's
the pond scum thing with that's what we would call the New York Mets fans, and obviously Howard and Darryl Strawberry and Ron Darling, all those guys.
Oh man!
I just was curious if that ever gets brought up.
Thanks for bringing that up.
Yeah.
Well, I had to be that guy. Like if I get I don't know if he's gonna cut it out or not, Andrew. So you can go tell me about yourself.
Yeah.
But
We'll let it sit there, marinate. For you.
Howard's gonna come back in the background and be like, this guy. I'm like, you don't know who I am, so that's good. We do have a Howard Johnson hotel by the airport.
Not affiliated.
Not affiliated.
Not affiliated.
All right, Andrew,
Oh,
tell
go
me a little
ahead,
bit about
Andrew.
yourself before we go.
Yeah. No, so to me, again, I mentioned it earlier. I'm the oldest of three boys. All play baseball. My two younger brothers are still playing. One's a senior at UT Martin, so they'll play Lindenwood, so up by y'all's neck of the woods. And then the youngest one's a freshman at Asbury. I actually didn't play collegiately. I thought I wanted to do architecture down the road, so I decided to go to Mississippi State. So enjoyed the baseball games there. Unbelievable atmosphere. But about a year and a half in, I was like, this is not what I want to do the rest of my life. So switched. And I actually graduated college 2020. So I was a COVID grad. And funny enough, my parents live a couple houses down from Glenn. And we kind of still pretty active family. And, we wanted to get out of the house. We weren't about staying inside 24 hours a day until whenever that stuff was going to end. So we started playing wiffle ball next to Glenn and, started connecting. And that's kind of how that connection worked. I played all growing up from 4 to 18. So all through high school, loved every minute of it. And kind of to circle in back to some of the other things, you're not going to remember those wins and losses. You're going to remember the team aspect of it off the field. I couldn't tell you any of my year's records, but I could tell you some memorable trips. So, with the opportunity, it just I knew I wanted to stay around the game. I didn't really see it as coaching, at least this early. I thought probably down the road, with kids and whatnot, but I've absolutely loved it ever since. So, just continuing to try and give back and give these guys the best chance possible they can to, one, make a middle school roster, then go make a high school roster, and have little baby steps. So let's get them onto the field and see where it goes from there. So
That's common. Let's get them to middle school. Let's get them to high school. Let's get them. Hopefully they get the next level to play college. I big fan of kind of what he said, because what I got out of that and then his story is you never know who's watching. And it's have a guy that runs a program or whatever, and next thing you know it, here he is leading the. Are you the director for the organization or just youth?
Yeah, I am.
So here you go.
So
he's
the whole
out
thing,
playing wiffle ball during COVID or whatever, and next thing you know it, he's running, a program for somebody. So you never know who So make sure that when you have those conversations, you try to impress somebody, because you just never know.
Absolutely.
Are you related to Wally Beaman?
No, so no relation. There's actually a Beaman Automotive here.
Okay, gotcha. Do you know who Wally Beaman is?
I don't.
So he Basement Beats which is Nelly's the rapper. There's some connection there. He's like a producer.
You kill me, man.
Gotcha.
What, man? I have to ask. If his name was Andrew Franklin or something, I would have asked if there was any relation to that.
Oh, okay.
Or Hamilton.
No, it's funny. There's a Beaman Automotive in the area, and so my family gets confused with them every now and then, and there's no relation.
My legal name.
It'd be nice.
My legal name is David Thomas, and so I also have red hair, and so growing up, people would pick on me and call me Wendy, because I used to have some long hair, right? And I'm a ginger, so they used to call me Wendy. I owned it. So in my freshman year of college, I had to do a communications class. We had to do a 3-minute impromptu speech.
We are
And I told them
off
that,
the rails.
that Dave Thomas was my grandpa, and I was a junior. I got out my driver's license, and I showed everybody I was a junior, and I said I get free Wendy's.
You were a junior or a ginger?
I'm a both. And so like 3/4 of the class became my friend that day. And so instead of the baseball players there, I became friends with my communications class because they all thought I could get free Wendy's. And, at the time, you get sick of eating ramen noodles and eggs. So I shortly had to tell them I lied. It didn't have to be a truthful experience. No, it didn't have to be, truthful. So I lied. And the class laughed, and they had a good time, and
we go from there.
Yep, I was a class clown in college too. I didn't make it very far in college, as you could tell if that was my speech. Did not do well there either.
Folks, Andrew Beaman on the Prime Sports Midwest call-in link from Nashville, Tennessee. He is the director of Hojo Baseball, Showtime Sports Academy. Andrew, thanks for coming on today, man.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Hey, don't go nowhere because we want to make sure we get it. We're going to get you back on. You got to stay up. We want to keep in touch with you through the summer and what you guys are doing over there. It'd be a lot of fun that way. We appreciate it. But stay on the line after we sign off here. I want to catch up with you a second. Folks, thanks for tuning in. As always, my good buddy, Mitchie the Kid, bringing it to the house today. Good stuff, man. Check out the hats. It's growing. I love it. So if you got a hat, you want us to throw it up there?
This one. I like that hat.
That's Coach Goff from Washington High School. Yeah,
solid high school hat.
Appreciate it. And so we appreciate the folks dropping off the hats. We do. We'll put them up there. We love the display. Hey, everybody, hit the subscribe button. If you haven't done that yet, hit the dinger next to it because that's what we do around here, right, Mitch?
We hit dingers.
We do because chicks dig the long ball. And that will get you all your notifications for upcoming episodes such as this. Not only baseball, but pop culture as well. And that is always fun. I enjoy it greatly. So everybody have a great day in the Lord. All you pitchers, keep throwing strikes, and hitters. Andrew, give the hitters some advice, bro.
Attack the ball. Attack the ball in the zone. Don't miss fastballs.
Don't miss the heater. Oh my!
Please.
You got me off track again. We're trying to close the show down. You get me off track. This is my favorite thing. You got an 0-0 count. You go right down the middle, and you go, "Oh, I should have swung at it." Now you're gonna go 0 for that at bat. Don't miss the heater. Isn't it crazy? You can go down to Nashville, Tennessee. It's the same darn thing that we try to talk about here. Really, it ain't that difficult. Baseball should be simple. Don't miss the heater.
Say goodbye.
Bye, Andrew. I gave him 3. That was
Not
like
Andrew.
Is that a
Say
Boy
goodbye
Scouts
to
or
the
Girl
folks.
Scouts honor? Huh?
Say goodbye to the
I don't know.
folks.
Bye, folks. Have a great
See
day.
y'all next time.